in 66, 67, 68, 1970 and 1971. They were practically unbeatable. In this video, I'm going to tell you how the GTAm came to be. We're going to drive this one and also see what's on the market right now. First though, I want to try and convey just what makes these cars so special. There's almost a mystical aura about them. When I was in my early 20s, I bought my first classic car, a 105 series 1750 GTV. But before buying it, in preparation, I did as much reading up on them as I could. And this volume in particular, which is on the racing cars, the GTAs, I thumbed through almost on a daily basis. Now, the GT8 is a nice looking car, but then you see the GTAm in the middle, and it's almost unbelievable what that car looks like. It's so squat, it's so wide with those wheel arches. I mean, it's just such a beast. Coupled with just the fact that, you know, the arches were actually riveted in. It's so functional, it's so no nonsense. That car looks almost scary. An impression which is further augmented when you have a look at the period pictures of them racing. Look at that, the size of those tyres, and then of course the typical 105 series stance there with the inside front wheel cocked. They are just legendary cars. The GT8 was the first racing version of the GTV. It was based on the earlier step front models, but with an all-alloy body. The steel inner panels were thinner, a twin-plug engine, and even magnesium wheels. Some of those cars tipped the scales at under 800 kilos. The GTAMs are more difficult to pin down because they didn't have their own specific chassis numbering scheme. They weren't official production models in the same way as the GTAs. The base car was the US market version of the 1750 GTV. Now, the 1750 was the second draft, facelift I suppose, of the 105 series cars. You had the 1300 and 1600 step fronts, and then this face came out, which is the second generation. That American car had speaker fuel injection. It might seem odd that they would base a racer on a car made for the US that was therefore hampered with fuel emissions injection. This though was done purely to make homologation simpler, with the factory race cars then using the much better Lucas system. Some of them though even had carbs. That's because some of the tuners and race teams just ordered parts from Auto Delta and built the racers themselves based on the European spec 1750s. Auto Delta was Alfa's racing department. They built cars both for the works teams and customer teams. The customer cars though tended to use speaker fuel injection, albeit a modified version, not the same as the ones that went to the US. Estimates are that up to 40 GTAMs were built by Auto Delta and private workshops. This isn't one of the original 40, it's a car that was converted and subsequently raced here in the UK. There were three schools of thought as to why they were called GTAMs, and none has ever been officially confirmed by Alfa Romeo. So the first is, it stood for GT Alsaggio Maggiorato, which means increased bore in Italian. Then GT Alleggerita Modificata, which is lightened and modified. And last, GT America. I'm not sure which one is real, but in my mind, I always considered that because it was based on the American car, it was GTAM. I don't know. If you know the truth of it, then please put that in the comments. These differed from the GTAs in various ways, but none more obvious than the huge increase in track. Also, the wider arches to accommodate the big fat tyres. Now, these are actually made out of glass fibre, but the rest of the body is no longer aluminium. They were made out of steel. The reason for that is that in 1971, they changed the regulations for Group 2 and raised the minimum weight limit to 940 kilos. So there was no longer any need to try and chase lightness at any cost. The original 1750 block was modified with a monosleeve to raise capacity up to 2 litres. They made up to 240 horsepower. This one has a twin spark Nord engine which puts out 215 at the back wheel using twin 45 Webers. So in terms of power, it's pretty much spot on. 215 at the wheel, pretty close to 240 as the original GTAMs would have had. And now let's see how this one feels on the road. The starting procedure begins outside the car. First, the cut-off switch onto on. Then we use the 4-point harness, although for the test I'm only going to be using 2 points. I think 4 for normal driving is a little bit overkill. Then fuel pump on. And God, that is so noisy. And finally, we're ready to get it going. There's nothing quite like a 105 series driving position. Now, it's been altered a little bit in this car because it has bucket seats, and but what hasn't changed is that it's still a very long arm and very short-legged. I'll never quite get over that. And of course, you can't put yourself too far from the wheel because you've got to have it close to you so you have maximum force to turn it, especially in a race car like this. Now, this is quite loud, but it's not, I mean, it's not deafening or anything like that. The carbs, from what I remember, they don't even have like boxes or anything, they're just open trumpets. So I think that's what we're going to hear the most of. Even at these really low speeds, the steering still has that 105 series magic. It's just incredible. It's so hard. I've never quite been able to describe how this steering feels. You've got a little wheel here, and best description is to say it's almost as if it's oiled. It's just so smooth. For a 2-litre in one of these cars, lower down this feels quite gutless, but I'm expecting it to really come to life a bit higher up the rev range. The gear stick looks weird, just sprouting out of the centre console far ahead there with the gear stick at an angle like this, but it is so well placed for your hand, and in this car it is just so slick. Absolutely lovely. Very responsive and noisy, and I think it must also have solid mounts, this engine or the gearbox, because I can feel so much vibration coming through. But this is the bit that we have all been waiting for, so let's take it through the gears. Absolutely lives for revs. It has to be said that on the road, I mean, not only is it incredibly noisy, but those wide tyres and that racing geometry mean that it's a little bit imprecise off centre, and it sort of tends to wander around a little bit. Obviously designed for a smooth racing track. Particularly like going straight, but wow, what a thing. The emotions that you get when driving one of these, you just need to get into one of these cars to understand. It's the combination of the noise, the way it responds. It's quite odd though, because this is a worm and roller steering system, and they weren't very precise, you know, off centre at the best of times, but this one in particular feels a little bit loose to me. It could be that it needs adjusting, or it could just be that the geometry of the car means that, and those wide tyres make it even more apparent, that going straight can be a little bit tricky. Almost hit that red kite. I don't know if you guys could see it on the cameras, but there's some sort of carrion on the road, and he only just got out of the way in time. Okay, In terms of ride, it's quite civilized, right? You'd think this would be like a skateboard, but actually it's not bad at all. Once it settles into the corner, you get so much information flooding through from the car. It's just lovely. The sound from those trumpets from the Webbers, oh, it's magical. But it has to be said, it really doesn't have any go below 4,000. Okay, let's take it through the gears again. What a beastie. It's a little bit too much for the road, to be completely honest, though. Oh, let's see if it, oh, turning circle, still awesome. Okay. Oh, went into fifth. Once it bites into the corner, it's amazing. It just wants to keep going. The initial turning is a little bit slow. That's it. Now you're good. Lean into it. Well, look, it is a racing car and it very much feels like one. Slightly terrifying on these roads because with the camber changes and the bumps, it does want to go absolutely everywhere except where you're pointing half the time. Once you got it settled into the corner though, it's magical, it's so good. Now, if this has made you ache for the real race experience and you want one of these cars, well, if you want a real genuine, one of the first 40 GTAMs, well, you won't be able to get one. And if you do, it will be incredibly expensive, hundreds of thousands of pounds. But the good thing about these, as I said, is that GTAMs, well, they weren't full production vehicles anyway, so getting a car recreation like this one, you can still pretty much get the full experience. If you want to get one, I had a look at what's on the market right now. There is another recreation similar to this in spec and in looks. That's £58,000. The only negative spot for me is that they haven't left the riveted on arches, and to me it just doesn't look right. These arches are so comical that the riveting in my mind is essential to make it look as it's supposed to be, functional, you know, a true race car. So that one doesn't have that, but looks like a nice car. There's also, and I think this is a lot of value, there's a normal 105 series which has some GTA bits on it, GTA wheels, looks really nice. I think that's up for 37,000, and if you think, you know, these cars were around at the same time as the early 911 S's, for example. That one is a step front. They look great, they drive amazingly well. £37,000 just seems like a steal to me for one of those. If you wanted, at the moment, there is also a GTA for sale. So I'll mention this just so you get an idea of the price differentiation. Now, it looks like this is a genuine, albeit a junior, 1300 GTA. And that is up for £250,000, and it's a junior. The 1300s are worth less than the full fat 1600s. I mean, they are incredible cars, and they're sort of full You know, Alfa really went to town. Before motorsport, you know, BMW M was doing this stuff. Alfa was doing it, and wow, you know, the GTAs are incredible, but £250,000 is a huge amount of money. Would you ever even want to drive that car? So have a look around. 105s, I think, they have gone up hugely in value in the last few years, but they're still really good compared to some of the other stuff, specifically 911s. So what do I make of this car? Well, it's absolutely batshit crazy. It's a little bit too much for these kinds of back roads. I think you need more open, smoother roads. But it's just beautiful. You have that incredible steering. It's a pugnacious little thing. It's always egging you on. It wants to go. It's like a little terrier. Massive thanks to Ned and Roland for bringing this down. It's hugely appreciated, and thanks to all of you for watching.